Siza Mzimela is a distinguished aviation executive renowned for her visionary leadership, strategic acumen, and unparalleled contribution to the global airline industry in South Africa. She was the first female on the boards of directors of the International Air Transportation Association, IATA, in its 70-year history. Siza has held numerous executive leadership positions, including as CEO of Transnet Freight Rail, South African Express, Group CEO of SAA, where her tenure was marked by significant regional growth, operational excellence, and strategic alliances that enhance SAA's competitive advantage and global footprint. In 2015, Siza revolutionized the aviation sector by becoming the founder and the CEO of Fly Blue Crane, the first Black woman-owned commercial airline in South Africa, with both domestic and regional licenses. Siza has a BA Economics and Stats from the University of Swaziland, a postgraduate certificate in management from Henley College, and an executive development program from Gibbs. Thank you so much for making the time, even though you are not feeling well today.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I always believe you have to stick to your commitments, so sick or not.
You know? Mm-hmm. Where were you born? Do you have siblings?
Yes. I'm actually one of 11 siblings.
Wow.
Yes. So, and I'm number 10.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, of that 11. Same mother, same father.
Yeah.
I always make it a point of saying that people assume that if you come from a large family that there must be other mothers in the equation. So number 10, and that's precisely why I was raised by my eldest brother, because number 1, 2, and 3 are probably old enough to be my parents as well.
But gosh, I can imagine. I mean, we were 2, I'm 1 now. Just the energy in that household must have been amazing.
So for me, it's a little bit of a strange one, because I always say I don't know whether I have firstborn tendencies or more to the bottom tendencies. And precisely because I was raised by my brother, and he didn't have children at that point in time. He and his wife didn't have children at that point in time. So I was like the only child for a very long time. But it was always lovely when we came back into the family, and just to the noise and everything else around that. Yeah. But I wonder sometimes how my mother coped.
She survived. Yeah. What were your hobbies before your teen years?
I was a real tomboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, gosh, anything. In fact, I guess, overall, the thing that I loved the most was that I loved swimming. I loved water. Mm-hmm. But I was such a tomboy that you would find me out in the street playing very rough games. I know how to climb a tree.
Yeah.
And that always amazed people, because I said I always just climbed trees when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love trees as well, I must say. I fell from one of them, but let's not go there. When the whole trunk fell onto my legs, but... So you attended St. Michael's High School, an Anglican school in Eswatini. I have relatives who went there as well. Its vision, which I really love, which is why I want to read it out, to be an iconic school for academic excellence in the production of globally competitive students. During your time, did a similar ethos permeate the school, even if it was not articulated like this?
Most definitely. Yeah. I think that the school, it's an all-girls school, was an all-girls school even then, that the focus was really to build up all of the girls in the school to have confidence, to go out into the world and know that they can be the best. So yes, we used to have debate matches with the boys, and all sorts of things, just to make sure that they helped to grow the confidence in each one of us. So Indeed.
Yeah.
I think it did come through in everything that we did. Of course, it used to be a school where people used to say, it's like it's so difficult to get in. True, it wasn't that easy. But, the selection process was done, very carefully.
Yeah.
And not just on academics, but the whole person. Because I think that's what they wanted to build. Not just somebody who's academically strong, but doesn't demonstrate some of the values that they would like to see.
Yeah, it's a holistic person. Yeah. How have your religious values influenced and impacted your corporate life?
No, they definitely have. I think for me, I don't know whether it's probably upbringing plus my religious background. But for me, I've always been of the view that every single person is important. It doesn't matter whether it's the cleaner or whatever the case may be. I treat everybody equally the same. And that once got me into trouble. I recall when I was newly appointed as an executive vice president at SAA, and at lunchtime, there was a lady that I used to like to go to lunch with, Usis Musa, because she used to take care of me. She used to really take care of me. You know those people that you come across and they just decide you are their baby.
Yeah.
So I would still go to lunch with her or walk to the canteen to go and buy food. And I was called aside to say, listen, you're now an EVP, You've got to not be seen you've got to associate with a different group of people versus the ones that you are. And didn't understand that. And by the way, I didn't listen to that at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't think title or anything should change who you are.
Yeah, and who you should eat with.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sure interesting. What gives your life meaning and purpose?
I think, for me, it's doing... You see, I've always been involved in things where, for me, it's the importance is that it's not about me only, but it's also about the people around me. If I'm able to make an impact, even in one person's life or two people's lives, that's good enough. So I've always said, if it's not that, it feels to me like it's meaningless. For it to be meaningful to me, it's like when it's much bigger than just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must say,
to my detriment sometimes. Yeah.
Because people can abuse that,
yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's life, I tell you. What is the one decision you wish you had never made in life, whether it's personal or professional, and why?
No, there are many, decisions where in that moment you think, why did I make that decision? But truthfully, when I look back even over what I would describe as bad decisions, I don't think they're bad because they taught me something. It might have been a hard, painful lesson, but I still learned, from all of those decisions that I took. So if I look back and saying, would I have done it differently? Yes, there are certain things where, with hindsight, you could have actually approached something differently, but I don't regret any of the decisions that I've taken.
In that moment, it was the right one.
It was correct.
Yeah. What do you believe is your greatest strength, and how has it shaped your life choices thus far?
Me, I'm a problem solver.
Oh.
I think, that's actually where my strength actually lies. I always believe that you can find a solution to anything if you want to find one. And I've always used the family circle to actually determine exactly what my strengths are. And even when I interview people for jobs, I'd always ask them, so what are you within the family structure? Because there'll be those that are good at organizing, there'll be those that are good in cooking and so forth. And I know that my strength is always to solve the problems. I'm good at planning, but I'm a very big problem solver.
Yeah. So
because I'm analytical in the way that I think. And
And that's why I suppose you have been called into the roles that you have been called into. Because it just comes through. And now we get into that. So you were the first female chief executive to lead both SAA Express and South African Airways, and the first Black African female to own an airline, which is Fly Blue Crane. You say people should not get hung up and focus on being the first in things. What impact do you believe that preoccupation has on people?
It always bothers me. I think, it's good for a person like myself if you have been the first to be a role model to others. But I also believe that you really shouldn't be so hung up on this first. Because what I have seen, and, happen a lot, is that people then think, I was the first. Not only am I the first, but I want to be the only one. And you don't spend the time, because you feel so special and you think you're unique. Yes, there's probably some special qualities that ensure that you get that position. But I never want to believe that you are so special that nobody else, has a right to come into that position as well. So it has always bothered me that people become so obsessed with being the first.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can list a whole lot of firsts, and half the time I have to be reminded by people, because that shouldn't be what is important.
Yeah, it's not a
of course, when you are, it does come with a certain level of responsibility, as I said, to be a role model for those that should follow behind you.
When you were offered the opportunity to lead SA Express, what in your character and skills made you know that you can?
I think from a personality, I've already said I do believe that I'm a problem solver. And what the airline required at that point in time was somebody who would see beyond the problems and see the potential and come up with solutions to benefit from those opportunities. And then from a skills perspective, before I went to SA Express, I had basically gone through every single position in the airline. It was on the SAA side. And the next position would have been, Group CE.
Yeah.
So I had the experience of running operations. I was Executive Vice President of Operations. I was Executive Vice President of the commercial side of the business. So spectrum. I had actually done, everything, which I think for me helped me to walk in with the necessary experience
and
into that position. Yes.
Yeah.
True that.
And you did so well. That was like our flying very high.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that was an exciting time. What belief or habit did you have to unlearn as a corporate leader to be effective? And what was the process to achieve your transformation?
I wish I could say that I've achieved that transformation.
Yeah.
No, but I think for me the bad habit is just control. Yeah. And, because I know I can handle more than 3-4 things at a time, for me, in the end, you actually realize it's a bad habit. It's something that requires one to be a lot more, not so much, unlearn it, but be a lot more conscious, of it. Because as you do that, 2 things. Either, there are certain people who would not be given the space to also fall, make mistakes and get up. Or, from my experience, also what would happen is that you just have people who just sit back because they know, you are going to fix it.
You're going to sort it.
Yeah, you're going to, and yet it's their job to take care of that. So, look, I would be lying if I said I went through a transformation to unlearn. If anything, I just became a lot more conscious, of it, and allowed myself to force myself to let go.
It's like hold back.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're going the wrong way. You're like, okay.
But you just let them go.
They need to go through it.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Having successfully run SAA Express and SAA, why did Fly Blue Crane require business rescue in 2017 and has not resumed operations since?
Yeah. So, Blue Crane, I think at the end of the day, it was about having adequate financing, for the airline. And as a black female, you're going to an environment where people think, oh gosh, no matter what experience and everything you come with, they don't see you having the potential to make it successful. So a large part of it was that. But having said that, it was also anti-competitive behavior from, other, airlines. Now, if you have deep pockets, you can stay in that space, when that actually happens. But if you don't, then it's a real challenge. Because what do? They add additional capacity and everything else to push you out, out of the market. So even now, I mean, in fact, I was wondering, when will they end this case? Because this actually went to the Competitions Commission, where they investigated, and a particular airline was charged, for this. But I don't know where that process is right now. Still waiting.
Yeah. It is a pity because the people who do provide funding, these are viable case studies. SA Express was profitable under you. SAA was profitable under you. This is audited financials.
Yeah.
Hey,
this is also South Africa. And I will stop at that.
Yeah, it is. And I hope we don't have the same happening to the next generation, because how much more should you be successful to get the backing?
No, I'm really hoping. You see, this is the thing that's surprising, because if you went around, especially to our DFIs, they will tell you, oh, we're really keen, to finance women and to finance this and so forth. Yeah, but when it's, they're really supposed to put their money on the table, they don't do that.
Yeah.
This next generation, I think they will do better than us. And what we need to do is that we mustn't see any of what we've done or not completed as a failure, but rather come back more strongly, so that they take some learnings, from that as well, for going forward. But when I look at this new generation, gosh, I think they're definitely the ones who are going to do us proud.
Yeah.
Because they are very confident, they are outspoken, they are everything.
Yes. And it's significant for me. There's a reason why I didn't say, why did Fly Blue Crane fail?
Yeah.
Because I knew it didn't fail.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson I would like everybody to get out of this. What is the one most significant lesson you have learned about what is non-negotiable to run a successful airline that you would share with aspirants and existing CEOs, should they be listening or watching? I know we ran a masterclass. One was a recipient of your knowledge, but to share widely?
Yeah, the scale matters. So in the airline, you can't come into that space and think you're going to have 3 or 4 aircraft to operate, because scale does actually matter. So, and it is then about making sure that you build up on that scale as quickly as possible. It's also making sure that you don't go and take any aircraft that anyone offers you, because you have to streamline your operations and having a similar type of, aircraft, so that when there are disruptions, because disruptions will be there, you are able to respond as quickly as possible. It also helps, with lowering your operating costs, because your spares and everything else, at least you would be able to store those for one aircraft type and not have 10 different, types of aircraft. So, that's what I would say. Obviously, people say a lot about, customer service. That matters, as well. But I can tell you that in the absence of aircraft to be able to offer frequency to the traveling public, it's a non-starter.
Yeah, it's those things behind the scenes.
Yes.
We, the customers, can complain about what we experience there.
Yes.
But if the back end is not working, it's a valuable lesson. This is why our masterclass was so successful in terms of to the airline industry. I hope we can do it in the future again. If you could go back in time and give your younger self, at whatever age, one piece of advice that will make your journey less traumatic, and I'm using that word deliberately, what will it be?
Don't assume everybody's going to share your values. That would be the lesson.
Yeah. And it's such a disappointment.
Yeah. It is.
When it's, especially when it's also your circle that you thought shared the same values.
No, indeed. So, I've always had people, keep on saying, stop imposing your values on others. Because I'd say, but how can so-and-so do this? Yeah, so you walk into life, you think everybody, you're going to have shared values. Not true.
Yeah.
That has been
something to cope with.
The real difficult and disappointment.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
On a smaller scale to yours. Yours was... What is the most difficult conversation you've ever had with someone you reported to, and the wisdom you can share about how you can navigate such a conversation and what to avoid? Because they see, usually people don't get into those conversations because they see it as career limiting, so they don't even embark on that journey.
So here's the thing. I think for me, I've been absolutely blessed with actually having good people that I report to. I mean, even if it's a board, I mean, it'd be good, chairperson and so forth, such that when I needed to actually have the conversation, and the only common conversation I would have with anybody that I would report to is that please never micromanage me, because you can be sure if you tell me this needs to be done, I'll get it done. But I don't want anybody looking over my shoulder and trying to micromanage everything that I do. But that was not the most difficult. I guess the most difficult conversation was not even a direct boss, but I guess an ultimate boss. And was it career limiting? Possibly, yeah. But for me, it was like sometimes you have to be honest, stay true. I mean, to your values. And it was really a matter of saying, listen, we're trying to do the best that we can, but you're not doing your bit. In the most polite of ways.
Yeah.
In the most. I mean, I think for me, that's the thing that's important. I think most people are mature enough to be able to accept that. And especially when there's a common goal.
Yes.
If you share a common goal, whether they are senior or not, if they're mature enough, they accept, and they'll be comfortable with what you would call an uncomfortable conversation.
And most times we are not as mature as we should be.
Yes.
And this is why we can't get that.
Yeah.
Take that feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. And
it does. I mean, it's human nature. I mean, even for me, I mean, I'm being boss to other people. There are those, and that's why, by the way, I love the younger generation.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they just say it as it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they feel you're not doing something correctly, they come and they just tell you.
Yeah.
And yes, the first time they do that, maybe you're a little bit taken aback.
Yeah.
But for me, if you listen a lot more carefully, you'll realize that the intention is good.
Yeah.
And it's something to respond to positively.
Yeah. Instead of corridor talk, corridor talk is the most destructive in any organization.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially disrespect, even for the person you're reporting to. In all your travels, what are the 2 destinations you have loved visiting, and what did they teach you about humanity?
So, I mean, the first one, I guess for me is India. I'm always trying to persuade people to go to India, and everybody goes, especially South Africans. India, why would I go there?
Too many people.
Too many people and everything else. But for me, I think it was a good experience. Just to see the big difference between the rich and the poor. Really, really big difference. But having said that, the ones that don't sit back and do nothing. They're always trying to do something, always trying. They don't wait to say we want formal employment, but you will see that they're always like trying to sell things and so forth. So for me, that was like a real, useful experience. The good, the bad, and the ugly. As well. If you really want to see all of that, I think one country where you would see that is in India. And then the one, it's just from a recent trip. I went to Jordan.
Yes.
A few weeks ago. My gosh. Before we went there, we were told these people are generous. So when people say that and say people are generous, the interpretation for most of us would be, when you get there, they'll give you a gift or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But for me, I walked away from that experience and I said, it's not about that. They have generous spirits.
Yes.
It would be like, and it's not because we were invited, by them. Yes, we know they needed to take care of us and so forth. But just every single person that we came across, they'll be like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. And they take time, out of their day to do something for you.
Yeah.
And they've just met you, and so forth. For me, that was a real eye-opener that you can And I wouldn't have thought. I think if I say Jordan, I don't know how many people
will think about it.
I mean,
and it's a beautiful destination.
It is a beautiful.
And just the historical stuff. My friend Laura will be very happy for that feedback.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I would go back to Jordan at any time. In fact, they have such good spirits that on the flight back home, or rather when we arrived back home, somebody had put their case a few rows, behind us. And I was thinking, wow, you see, it rubbed off, because the normal or the typical South African attitude would be like, why was it not above your own head? Now you're actually going to be disrupting us by moving back.
Yeah.
But, it just felt like, no, let me go and help.
Yes.
Let me go help. Yeah, so it was really, really, yes, a wonderful experience.
They also have beautiful places, really. I did
enjoy
it.
The baptismal of Christ. And,
the Jordan River and everything else, Which people actually don't think about Jordan when they also think about all those things. Yeah, they think of the other side. But anyway, What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
I guess a book that my daughter bought for me, which is A Road Less Traveled.
Oh, yes.
Have you read it?
Years ago.
Okay. Yeah, so she bought me that book, one Christmas, and I was actually quite surprised. And strange enough, I clearly needed the book, because then another good friend of mine also went
the energy that you needed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, also bought me the same book. So I have 2 copies of that book in my library.
Yeah. And what lesson did it really...
for me, if you just reflect, it's about life lessons, and how, I think the first chapter is even on discipline, on how that is important in helping you to actually cope with what you're going to come across in life.
Yeah.
And also that we think, life is supposed to be so easy. And you think that when things are not easy, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Everybody else has it easy. For me, it was the first book that goes on to say, who said life is easy? Life is going to be difficult, but adjust to that. Yeah. Then your life will be better.
Yeah. Because it's the acceptance.
Yes.
The suffering comes from not accepting.
Yeah.
Gosh, I read it so long ago. I think I was quite young. But so it integrates and it becomes part of your thought process. Actually, I'd never ever think of quoting that book ever. Really, that's not good. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Thank you.
So if you had one song to listen to for the rest of your life, what will it be?
It would be the most difficult thing to listen to one song for the rest of my life.
You have no choice in this matter.
But because I love music, and and it's different times in my life that you listen to different people and so forth. But my one go-to song to lift me, the Sounds of Blackness. The group is called the Sound of Blackness.
Yeah.
And the song is optimistic.
Yes. I don't know it. Yeah.
You must listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I like it is the lyrics.
Yeah.
The lyrics. Plus also it's the type of song, as I said, when I'm feeling down, it's the type of song I put it on and I will be dancing, you know what I mean, by myself in a room. Yeah. It's sort of like very uplifting.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know about listening to it for the rest of my life, but in the midst of it.
Yeah. The one thing about you is you can come across as very offish, which is fascinating. And then when a person interacts with you and it's like, I could be here for another few hours.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Yeah. So whenever I tell people that I'm actually shy by nature.
Yeah.
They never believe it.
It comes from the shyness.
Yes, exactly. People say, no, you. Because all they see of me is when I'm in a public space and I do what I need to do. But I'm shy.
Yeah.
In a family setup, I'm not the one who's going to stand up and speak. If anything needs to be solved, people would not even bother to think I will do it because I am extremely, shy. So that's why I would normally not be good. Even with, group activities, I force myself to go in, but normally, I'll be going with a friend and then, it all works out, well. But I do know that about myself. And I always say, it's so bad because I know that I come across, as you say, and I'm far from being that. It's only the people who know, how shy I am who then will make the effort around me for people to realize that it's just that shy side of myself that,
You always fascinate me with that every time, without fail. Which is also part of why I wanted to have this conversation, because I think there are people we judge.
Yes.
And yet we deprive ourselves from learning, because I think really you have a lot of wisdom to share.
No. I'm very, very shy. I'm always grateful, to even the school. You're talking about St. Michael's, because that's the one thing they were good at, is that they, like in my case, clearly they recognized a potential, but they also recognized I had the shy side. So without fail, I was up on that stage reading every Monday. And in the end, that taught me to say, breathe in. And there's certain things that you do, and then you go back to your own space, your normal space.
I think it also gives hope for people that are shy. I always tell people, don't change who you are, because your strengths will carry you through. You don't have to change who you are. And I think the recognition with all the positions you've had shows that when somebody is good, even within that personality, you will still thrive. Oh, we can chat for all days, but you also have to go back to sleep because you're not feeling well.
Yes.
What wisdom would you leave us with?
I think for me, words of wisdom is that don't change yourself even when people don't treat you well. Never change your personality. Just remain who you are. And in saying that, I also truly believe, that when you do something for someone, do it on the basis that you don't expect anything in return from them. Because I think a lot of people go through these periods where they don't understand, but I did this for this person. How can they now treat me like that? I'm like, you shouldn't have done it in the first instance, because then it means you did it expecting something in return. So, for me, it's like, never change your personality even when people are not treating you well. Remain who you are. And then, as I said, when you do things for people, it's fine, because you're basically paying it forward in a way. Somebody else will appreciate that type of thing. And that's how you should actually view your life.
And I think you dishonor yourself if you're going to keep on changing based on how other people treat you.
But there are not too many people with strong backbones, hey? So when I look back to my upbringing and everything else, I'm ever so grateful for the lessons and the way in which I was raised, even the contribution from the school, the contribution from church, whatever the case may be. I'm grateful for that.
When you're saying that, I remember, I think it's a talk, or I think you were a guest somewhere, and you were talking about the disappointment. I think you've kind of talked about the shared values, but I think when I was listening to you, it was so profound that the hurt you felt from people, whether it's the political arena, the corporate arena, in terms of just the lack of humanity and how we've become, and how I think growing up, we all had this view of how our new South Africa is going to be. And then suddenly you get in and you want to contribute, and it's not the way you wanted it to be.
Far from.
Yes. God, I felt that profoundly when you were having that conversation. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So for me, even like now, when you were inviting me, I was like, what's so special about me?
I don't know why you would think that. You are special. You've always stood out. And we kind of see each other every other, but I always remember you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And all the best with this podcast.
Thank you.
I hope people watch and learn.
We need all the wisdom we can get. If you have not clicked on the subscribe icon yet, do so now. Like and share. Let us share wise conversations. This is an opportunity to spread positivity rather than negativity that drains our energies. Every time you watch or listen to a wise conversation, share it with 5 other people in your network. Until next time, when I have another conversation with a wise and inspirational individual. wishing you a life filled with love, compassion, and consciousness. Thank you for making time for this episode of Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell notification to be informed when our next episode is available. Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi is also now available on Facebook Watch, Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. Enjoy the wisdom journey.